Hello. So I'm learning The Little Fountain. Here it comes from this little book. I think it's, let me see. Danse pour la Dauphine. You know, in semi Franco-American accent. Uh, and The Little Fountain is the piece with lots and lots and lots and lots of notes. And it has a lot of downward arpeggios. So, I can do upward arpeggios. If you just play some and you go, and that, I've just done it so many times that it doesn't take a lot of, practice. I remember when I first started learning the harp, that was one of the first things I tried to do, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is really hard, but eventually get better at it. Now, downward arpeggios, slightly different story. So, you're going to do the same hand placement where you start on the top, and you're going that way. So, and this piece is nothing but downward arpeggios. So when I first started trying it, it was horrible. I just, like my left hand in particular, the 3 and 4 were sort of clumped together and I couldn't get independent fingers or independent notes. So, and I can do it now slowly. I couldn't even do it slowly, but, and I'm building speeds too. But what I've discovered a couple little tips that I think are helpful. And so I just thought I'd make a sort of a preliminary video before I actually am able to play the piece all the way through and at a good tempo with good expression and everything. And here's what I've discovered is that if I can do this going up, placement and then, well, so what is it that makes it easy to do it going up? And so I've thought about it. And so one of the things is that you've got 3 of your fingers, this one, that one, and this one, your 4, 3, 2, are pulling the strings up. And then the only finger that doesn't is this one. Your thumb pulls it down. So, and on the way up, you're it's almost like a smile. I mean, that's how I envision it, sort of. You're almost sort of pulling outwards too. And as you pluck the note, you're pulling on the next one. And then you finish with this. So it's almost like a little arc. That idea. And so I thought, well, if that's easy to do, what is so hard about going down? Think of it this way. If you're pulling up that way, then you need to pull down this way and end with your 4. So instead of aiming for your thumb and pulling everybody off, you're actually aiming for your 4 and pulling everybody down. So don't think of it as individual notes or individual fingers or individual strings or individuals. You want to just think of a curve. And I say that to kids. I teach piano lessons all the time when we get into expressive playing, is that if you want to do a crescendo, for example, you could do it from, your knuckle down. There's 6 bendy parts. There's your waist, there's your shoulder, that's 2, your elbow's 3, your wrist is 4, your knuckles are 5, and your sort of joint there is 6. You can't really do 7 because that joint kind of goes with 6. But a lot of piano players play just from their, their knuckles down. They don't involve their body, and they can make a crescendo by adding more and more pressure. The speed of their fingers determines how loud or soft you are. The faster you go, the louder. But when you think about it, you can approximate a crescendo, and the notes might go louder, 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 but they don't really cohere. They're sort of note, 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 like in a zigzag pattern sometimes. And it may not create sort of an exponential curve, where you have more of the force toward the end of it. If you play a curve, zoop, then, and you do it with your body, or at least engaging somehow your wrist, which is bendy 4, and your elbow and your arm, and if you're using your whole body, that idea, you can get that lovely curve, and those notes will fall exactly on the curve. So this is totally off the cuff. That's way back. Does that make sense? So actually the last thing for me that moves are my fingers. Talk to yourself. I am. Hi, everybody. So anyway, are you going to keep talking? Yes. Okay. So my advice is this. Think of the last thing to move are your fingers. And in a way, if you're going up, you're pulling the string, pulling the string, pulling the string. So it's almost like you can compress them. See this? And so on the way up, you actually kind of push on the string a little bit. So it's the same thing on the way down. It's just that if you don't have that curve, then you're going to end up playing from here down, as opposed to your whole, arm and other parts of your body engaged. So get it going before you play. And you're still going to pull on those strings. If you think about it going down, you've only got one string in the direction of the curve, and finger, and you've got the other three fingers are still pulling up, but your arm is going that way. Does that make sense? So I just thought that was really helpful, just that concept. I hope I explained that. It's really just sort of a matter of feel. If you can kind of keep the center of the pull over the finger. So now my arm is here, now my arm is here, now my arm is here, and I pull off. So it's, again, you feel the pressure kind of being pulled that way. And it is a bit of pressure. If I were not doing any pressure, that would be harder. I also found, and I've been at this like a day. I practiced it yesterday. I have a lot of it memorized. But it's just going to be, just like working up the piano piece that got a lot of notes and have to sound really even, and have independent fingers and have no overlaps or separations or notes that bonk out, unless you want them to. It's going to be, and when I practice it, what I call stage 2 playing, I do everything all loud, no bonk outs. They're just even all loud or even all soft. And I try to get even lengths of notes, and I practice extremely slowly. I have people walk in on me when I'm practicing because they usually don't hear me, and their jaws drop. They're like, "You practice that slow?" I'm like, "Yeah, like 90% of the time." So I'm going to be like, and slower than that too. One thing about this piece too is you have to get the placement ahead of time. And so, one good way I teach piano too is I chunk stuff with people. I say, get the full chord, and that's your chunk, and that's your chunk, and then here's next your chunk, and there's your chunk, and there's your chunk. That idea, you just get, the hand placement set up. That idea. What was the chunk? It was this. So, some of those chunks are like, every other note plus the octave. I find that to be helpful in terms of conceptualizing the chunk, because like this one in particular, this is the one that's really throwing me off. I have to really work on this one. It's the F. See, I can't even place it. It's the G minor chord with an F on the bottom. You also get the G minor chord with an E in the top. You get those two chunks. So this one's not terrible. If I can just think the G minor and add the E, that's not so bad. It's this next one coming up is where you place, what does you do? I don't even know. You place 1, 2, 3 on the G minor chord, and then you add the F. So I'm not sure why that's giving me trouble. I know I'm going to have to practice the G minor chord without the top note, and then without the bottom note. So without the E, without your thumb on the E, and also without the 4 on the F. And just alternating that, just going plink and a plunk and a plink and a plunk. Sometimes when you're assembling the placement, it helps to think of not all of the notes, just think of either one and place that and the rest will fall in place. Or think of a chord, like G minor, maybe, 2, 3 notes. It's harder if you get 4. Sort of like guitar with all the dots on the neck. It looks like somebody's jumping a really complicated chord, but there's like a 2, 3, 4 step process where you're thinking of the second dot, and then you play the fret up, and then you put your your pointer finger on there, and then you put the other 3, and it's like a 4-step process. So kind of like that. Anyway, here's another thing I came up with too. I'm sure other people will come up with this. I've watched some YouTube videos, and I thought they were very helpful. So I'm trying not to overlap what's also on there, because there's a lot out there that's great. And again, I'm just learning this piece. Hopefully I'll get it. But I also found this too. Because going up felt great, then for some reason, it's sort of like osmosis, I was able to go down without a problem. But I had more trouble doing it if I didn't do the up version first. So here's one way to practice. You go up, 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 wait, and place, and down, 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 wait, and place, and get the next one, down, 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 wait, and place, and down, 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 down. That idea. Because if you wanted to do it without the wait and place in between, where it'd be up, 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 down, 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 up, 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 down, 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 down. Then you don't have the double thumbs, and you don't have the placement immediately, and it's easier to alternate your hands. So I thought of this. I'm going to keep the right, left, right, left, right, left thing, which is what you do anyway. Right, left. and I'm going to go up hand, right, 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 left hand, up, 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 then down, 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 down. Does that make sense? Then I do the next one, up, 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 down. Oh no, I did it wrong. Right, 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 left, 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 right, 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 left, left. So again, I'm going up, 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 down, 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 down. Does that make sense? So I thought that was really helpful. Trying to think of anything else. There was one other thing, I think. Maybe I covered all of it. Hand angle too. If you have your hands kind of like this, which you're probably not supposed to have anyway, you'll get sort of a thinner sound, but it might be easier to play in your left hand, independent notes. If you have your hands more with like, this way, with like your palm facing more down and your elbows a little out, maybe, I don't know. And then your fingers also pointing down. The sound might be a little fuller. Did you notice that this finger, my third finger in my left hand, was a little louder? And that's probably because it's just a longer finger and just, I don't know. You can kind of counteract that by pulling off this way. If you keep your hand in one stuck spot, then again, you're only using from here. But if you can kind of lift off, it's almost like you don't have so much independent fingers, as you're just very carefully timing when you're going to be pulling off the note. So I'm really just, I'm pulling, I'm pulling, I'm pulling. So anyway, but have a long way to go on this. I had the idea to do it to begin with because I filmed my little fountain. Literally, I have a little fountain, a little bitty, itty bitty solar fountain in my community garden plot. And so I was filming that thinking, well, I'll use that, it took, long enough shots to have that as the, sort of the foreground or even the background. Sometimes the harp is underneath the picture that I do sometimes in my video when I get them done and, getting ready to edit them and all that. And so I thought, well, I wonder what piece would go well with that. And so I typed, after considering several, I typed in YouTube little fountain, and this piece came up, and I looked online to see if I could order it. I can transcribe stuff by ear, but to keep it legit and copyright, honored. I looked for the piece online. One of them was $10 just for this piece. It was like 3 to 6 pages. The other one was $22 for the whole collection. And I thought, that word Dauphine sounds awfully familiar. And I had inherited some music from a friend who used to play the harp when she was a kid. Her family, her too, used to live up the hill. She gave me a whole bunch of harp music. And I also got some, this is fun, the harpsichord lady. Do you remember Darlene? She retired to Florida before she left. I knew her from the YouTube videos, but I talked to her once on the phone too, and I got to talk to William Reese. That was pretty cool. I talked to her about 15 or 20 minutes. But anyway, she retired to Florida with her husband and got rid of like 2 boxes of harp music, some of which were completely brand new, and sold them on eBay for a great price. And so I was an inheritor in a way, in quotes, of that. And so maybe it was part of the collection. I just didn't even know that this little fountain was, in this collection. Not to mention, I didn't even know it was such a popular piece that a lot of people learn. So anyway, but if you're having trouble with the downward arpeggios, I hear you. It's tricky. Anyway, I think that's my video. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I was going to say. So in summary, see if this will jog my memory. Try practicing the chunks. You can also put yourself in a metronome and, set it at 60 and keep that constant, and then try to figure out at what interval you can play it. And you can do that chunked and you can do it broken. So if it's clicking like 1, 2, and I'm going to play every 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And if I can get through the whole passage that way, or however you divide up the music and do passages and segments, then you can reduce it to 3. Or I could do the other hand scale. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. That idea. And then you can do 2. You can go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then by the time you get to 1 at 60, again, I was kind of saying it too quickly, but the beat is constant. You go 60 at 1. Here we go. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That idea? Okay. Then when you do it broken, you can also kind of give yourself a break and have a pause in between. One click, two click, one click, two click. That idea. Anyway, I still feel the most helpful thing that I did with this was pull, 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 and set and pull, 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 pull. Okay. Hope that helped. I can yammer on, can't I? Hammer on and yammer on. Hammer, 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 and that's what I did in the very beginning, and it was horrible. So if I can solve this in a day, hopefully so can you too. Hope that helped. Okay, I'm off.